All right. First rule of the channel, we not talk about the channel. Second rule of the channel, this is not legal advice. So this is going to be week 6, how the sausage was made for fantasy football. Right now, Sean Tucker, the third string running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is tracking to be this week's MVP when it comes down to this. And I was thinking about this in your deeper leagues. I could definitely see that 32-point game that he put up would probably remain relative, or shouldn't remain. That probably could have been predictive. Even with the theoretical full bell cow that we would get out of Bucky Irving this week, he wasn't going to get the full load. And this point, like if you're in those deep enough leagues where you can look at a running back rolling out a running back to get somewhere in between like that, like 4 to 10 opportunity range. Like I could see rolling Sean Tucker out based off what his snaps were in those couple of weeks where the Buccaneers like rolled him out and bring him up. So like he the 3% snaps week 1, week 3, 2% snaps, 8% snaps. Like he was going to be part of this offense. It just like, can I bet that you're going to get like 17 total opportunities? Probably not. What I could guess that like I was going to get, that 20 to 40% work. And if that was worth enough to me to roll out there with the opportunity that he might fall in the end zone, then I can get some of those weeks. So like probably outside of like 12-man league, I don't know how much I would be really looking at that. Probably with Rashad White would be like speculative ad, but we'll talk more about that when we get to chasing the dragon going forward on this one. Some of the other guys that are out there that are a little bit interesting, like Tyrone Tracy, the 6 for 57 in this game, did talk to one of my co-managers about this, and this was should we bench Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver 9, and in a London game in a bad matchup versus Tyrone Tracy in a good matchup? And my co-manager was like, I can't bench wide receiver 9. And at that point, like you could see the logic behind it, like rolling those guys out there. 6 for 57. How consistent that's going to be coming going forward with potentially Devin Singletary going out. That's going to be somewhat interesting. Like Tyler Algier pops up again. If these are going to be 2 running backs like the Lions, on top of the fact that if this is a good offense, now we can start talking about like Tyler Algier being like a cuff or a lottery ticket or something like that to maybe having some standalone value if he's available in your leagues overall. Hopefully you didn't sell your DeAndre Swift 19 or 17 for 91 and a touchdown for 28 to go along with that. And Derrick Henry, league winner. Chris Godwin staying league winner. Terry McLaurin 6 for 7 for 53, 2 red zone targets because I am looking to try and buy him a stack. 11 for 13, 125, and 2 touchdowns for Chris Godwin in this one. Gabe Davis, 2 touchdowns. Does Gabe Davis things drops another one. Keenan Allen, 2 touchdown passes. Again, like those dart throw wide receiver 3s because they're on the field. And then the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Romeo Doubs, 2 touchdown passes in this one. Pop Douglas, 6 for 9 for 92 touchdown. That's going to be really interesting to break down those stats. The main thing is that I normally would say like Wan'Dale Robinson's and your Pop Douglas, I'm not interested in. Quarterback change. If this is the guy for Drake May, that changes things a little bit when we're tracking that stuff. With your quarterbacks, again, those nimbly bimbly guys, because right now we're looking at Bo Nix, where's it at? 6 for 61 for Bo Nix and 2 touchdown passes to go along with Drake May doing 5 for 38 and 3 touchdown passes. Again, the rushing floor, that's what we want more than anything else when it comes down to that. Jane Daniels, quarterback 10 right now, 6 for 22 on top of his 2 touchdown passes. Tight ends, like I don't know how predictable the Bears offense is going to be. And again, if I can't take advantage of it, like the matchup, I don't know if I would have been rolling Cole Kmet anyway, because even though the matchup was good, I don't necessarily trust those like neutral site games when it comes down to that. Mark Andrews, we're going to talk a little bit more about this probably like after waivers when it comes to like Mark Andrews and your Zay Flowers. 3 for 4 for 66, a touchdown. Like how many more games are we going to be able to predict Baltimore? I don't normally talk about matchups because I think if coaches and players want to get their guys opportunities they can, it becomes more of an issue of like from a fantasy perspective, can I trust that guy? Because can he be matchup proof at that point? Like good matchups, bad matchups, all that stuff. Can that guy get that done? That's why I track opportunities so much more. Like, is the guy on the field? Yes. If he's on the field, how many opportunities does he get? If you get to the point where like the Ravens are just going to be like a lower passing volume team, they have to be like very efficient. And if a majority of those opportunities aren't going to specific guys and they're not predictable, like, they're dart throws, and I would probably rather them be someone else's problem. And again, from a fantasy perspective, if I can't predict the week that I would roll a guy, right? So if I get to the point where like they're all dart throws, that's going back to like Brian Thomas Jr. If I can get certain guys for Brian Thomas Jr., he's not going to be wide receiver 9 after this week. I don't know how predictable that offense is going to be because, they're not a good offense. At best, they're going to be like an okay offense. And if I could, move that guy for somebody else that I can go like, I'm just not going to overthink this guy. I'm not going to worry on a week-to-week basis if this guy's going to give me starts. If there's a guy on my bench, I need to know that I will use that guy. That's either because he's a cuff, he's a lottery ticket, or that there's a specific week that guy will be going in my lineup because of buys. And that's what I got to be like looking at when it comes down to these guys. If I can't do those things, like a Mark Andrews, like there's only going to be a handful of weeks left where like I would feel good rolling, the Ravens out there where I'm going to get enough volume. And again, right now, like 5 targets is like what he's the most that he's got. When you look at like your Trey McBride, he got 8 targets in this game. He's got 9, 6, 6, 9, 8. Like he's a unicorn. Mark Andrews isn't. How many more weeks? It doesn't matter. Like is he healthy? This, that, and the other. None of that matters for me. It's like, well, how many more weeks can I expect that I'm going to get like 8 targets out of Mark Andrews? Maybe week 13. Maybe I'm going to get a week 10. And maybe week 17, I'm going to be rolling out against like the Texans at that point. Like at that point, and I'm not saying like drop a guy. I never say like drop a guy, like run your roster the way that you want to do it. But what I would look at is like, like these are the type of guys that I would be moving in trades, have them be someone else's offer or a problem. I put so much together in a package that they got to take a look at my trade. Like I overpay on guys. I don't underpay on guys. But at this point in the season, like after week 6, I can really start like planning my season out where guys are going to go. Because I know like where my buys are, like who's going to be in that week, like who's available on the wire. Who am I going to roll out that week? I don't like punting weeks. I like knowing that I give myself a chance to win a week. Again, if I can get into playoffs, I know I got a chance at money because, just the way it works out, like even those little engine that could teams can win a week and then they're in money weeks. So like, that's just how it goes when it comes down to all that stuff. Kickers primarily with Jake Bates. I think it's Jake Bates. Jake Bates doing God, he's an ugly guy. Doing 5 for 5 in the extra points and then a 4 for 4 as in the field goals. If guys are attached to good offenses, they're going to give you a certain amount as a kicker on a week-to-week basis because they're just going to score. And Detroit may have the best offense. Guys like Chris Boswell, they're going to be on like okay teams, and they're going to give you the more opportunities to kick like field goals. So like, do you want to go after like those higher weeks, like 17 points, or do you just want to take like your 9 points, like your 3 extra points and your 1 field goal because they're attached to a good offense, like stuff to look at. Now, when it comes to defenses like the Lions, 20 points, that's predictive. They're going up, or I should say that wasn't predictive. They're going up against the Cowboys. I don't know if I would have been rolling them out there. Buccaneers were a good week against Spencer Rattler, so like we can predict that. I like that in general. Steelers going up against the Raiders, so definitely like that in general. And then Houston Texans. This is another one like Green Bay or Drake May this week, so like I can predict that. So that's why like some of these teams like going up against Will Levis, picking some of these rookie quarterbacks, like picking them up a week ahead of time, knowing that I'm going to roll them out there, like that's probably more value than trying to guess like I'm going to get a certain amount of usage out of like a Keenan Allen who is able to like catch 2 touchdown passes on 5 targets. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to predict that going forward for the rest of the year. All right. Let's start talking about like the sausage. So Bills and Jets are going to be Monday night. 49ers, Seahawks, already talked about them in the Griff. Jacksonville and Bears. This is going to be over there in London, one of those neutral site games. I don't trust these in general. This is one of those ones where maybe we could talk about matchups. Caleb Williams, I don't know how much we're going to be able to get like 4 touchdown passes again going forward. And this is like a matchup that we could definitely take advantage of when it comes down to that. DeAndre Swift, 17 for 91 and a touchdown. And I kind of am interested if this was 1 yard one. So like Caleb or Roshan didn't get that. It's a little interesting. Distribution of targets when it comes to the Bears, like 5, to Komet, 5 to Allen, and then 5 to DJ Moore. So, like, I don't know how much I can trust anything in this offense at all at this point. Evan Ingram, 10 for 10 for 102 to go along with this. Brian Thomas does 6. So I kind of want to see what the air yards are on that. Christian Kirk does 6, and then 8 for Gabe Davis, doing Gabe Davis things. Travis Etienne, I did see went down with a hamstring. Even with all that, like 7 carries for Tank Bigsby, 24 yards. Ernest Johnson in a blowout. Again, it's 35-16. He does 6 for 28 on the ground, and he also does 2 more targets to go along with this. And then I don't see any Tank in the passing game. All right, Cardinals and Packers. So this is another one. Like, Packers are 2-4. I don't know from a fantasy perspective how much I can trust their offense in general, maybe outside of like Trey McBride. So again, probably should be someone else's problem. I can put together like a James Conner and someone else, like a Zay Flowers, and move them for a guy that's maybe a piece of a better offense, like David Montgomery or something like that. At this point, I might be more interested in. So Kyler Murray, 22 of 32, 214 and a touchdown. Nimbly Bimbly, like 7 for 14 to go along with this one. So James Conner, 7 for 24. And DeMercado, like 4 for 25. DeMercado also did 7 targets. So, like, I don't know if, like, Trey Benson is really the cuff in this offense. 5 for 26 in this blowout. It was 24-10 at halftime. Marvin Harrison gets knocked out with the concussion. Michael Wilson catches a touchdown pass. Trey McBride, 8 for 8 for 96. So, again, like, at this point, I can track those opportunities. Those are valuable to me. The ability to say, like, how many times James Conner is going to fall and touch the end zone, probably not going to get, like, the passing work that I want. So, like, now we can start talking, like, after week 6, like, Trey McBride, yes. James Conner, yeah, I probably want somebody else. Your DeAndre Swift, at this point, like, you're going to have to make that business decision. Like, do you trust him or do you don't at this point when it comes down to him? When it comes out of the Packers, I don't trust anybody. Maybe Josh Jacobs, but again, like Emmanuel Wilson does 7 for 54 in this one to go along with Josh Jacobs doing 18 for 62. Jacobs did do, I think, 3 targets in this one, 3 for 3 for 28. Wilson did 2 for 1. Yeah, that's a cuff at this point. Jordan Love, 4 touchdown passes. Those are likely not going to be something that's going to remain consistent. And then outside of like Jaden Reed, 6 targets to go along with another rushing opportunity. And then Romeo Doubs, like two touchdowns. Christian Watson's going to be like wide receiver 3, 4 for 3 for 68, a touchdown in this one. And then, our dreams of Dontavian Wicks at this point, 3 targets, 1 for 9. Again, good offense doesn't necessarily translate. Like that's why like opportunity funnels attached to like okay offenses, theoretically what Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall were going to be, tend to have more value. So Anthony Richardson, I believe, ended up being the 3rd string emergency quarterback for the Colts. So Joe Flacco comes in, and this is like an ugly game. So in this one, like, going to be a little interesting to find out with Tyler Goodson and Joe Flacco, or not Joe, Tyler Goodson, Trey Sermon, and Jonathan Taylor, who was out in this one, because Goodson was better, 8 for 51. And again, he's a smaller back. This one, Evan Hull was elevated in this game. And then Goodson does 5 targets, 4 for 14. So that's going to be a little interesting. Flacco, 22 for 38, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Doesn't have to do much. 20-17 in this one. And then again, the Colts kind of pulled away at the end of the game. I didn't even see this. It was 17-10 at one point going into the 4th quarter. So like, yeah, a game that like I would have expected Joe Flacco to really pull away. Will Levis, 1 interception in this one. Didn't fumble. I want to see how many sacks they had. Colts did have no sacks in this one either. So maybe not when it comes to chasing Joe Flacco, or this could just be how bad the Colts defense is in general. Moving my mic around. Josh Downs, 9 for 7 for 66 and a touchdown. Michael Pittman saves his day with a touchdown in this one. And then I don't really care about like anything not named Tony Pollard. Tajay Spear, I believe, went out with a hamstring in this one. So like full bell cow Tony Pollard, not that we were already not getting full bell cow Tony Pollard before all this happened. Calvin Ridley, 8 targets, no receptions. Yeah. All right, Texans and Patriots. And this one was all over the place. not just because of Drake May, but Drake May at least made like the Patriots serviceable at this point. So you can see like 14-0, the Texans jump out. Like Drake May hits Keyshawn Boutte with a 40-yarder in the second quarter. So it's 14-7 at halftime. And then the Texans pull away 27-7, and then we get a little bit more Drake May action, is able to actually put it like 34-21 with 9:24 left when he hits like Pop Douglas on a 35-yarder. So at least we can start speculating on the toys when it comes to the Patriots. Now, with Ramondre out with that foot, Antonio Gibson really disappoints, like 13 for 19 in the rushing game, and then he just wasn't part of the passing game, 4 for 3 for 24. The other disappointing one is Jolyn Polk, like 4 for 1 for 4. And this one, I expect that like he would have been the guy. It looks like it was Boutte in this one, but like Pop Douglas, 9 for 6 for 92. As long as those weren't checked down monster routes, that gets like somewhat interesting. So Joe Mixon, he comes out, he does 2 tugs, one in the passing game and one in the rushing game. 3 targets, three for 2 for 30 in the passing game. And that goes along with like 13 for 102 and a touchdown. Damian Pierce rips off like a 54-yarder late, 8 for 76 and a touchdown with all these guys going on. And then Stephon Diggs, 7 for 6 for 77 and a touchdown. Tank Dell, like this was a little disappointing. He did get the 9 targets, 9 for 7 for 57 and a touchdown. Speculating on that one going forward, but wasn't particularly if you paid for him and you rolled him out, like he gave you exactly what you wanted at this point. I was expecting a slightly better day when it comes to like air yards. But now I think about it with like the Patriots and their defense, like this is generally like, what I would be expecting. Again, know what you have with guys, even against matchups, like the better guys will just, destroy matchups regardless. It's the way I look at them in general, trying to upgrade them. Buccaneers and Saints, this was another wild one because Baker Mayfield things, threw three interceptions in this one, 4 touchdown passes. Buccaneers jump out 17-0. Fumble recovery return by Antoine Winfield. And then it's 27 points in the second quarter for the Saints. And then it's like 27-24 at halftime. And then the Buccaneers pull away the rest of the way. They score 31 or 27 points in the second half overall. Sean Tucker, 14 for 137 or 136 and a touchdown. Also did 3 for 56 and a touchdown, like 36-yard touchdown. That was during real football time, by the way, if we want to go look that one up. That 36-yarder was when the score was 20-17 Saints. Sean Tucker scores on that 36-yard reception. And then his second touchdown, when he punched it in, they were up 44-27, pretty much the ice of the game. The second one, Bucky Irving was the guy. He pulled it, really broke the game open, 37-27 when he falls in the end zone to go 44-27 at that point to go chase these guys. Chris Godwin, 55-yarder on top of all that stuff. Mike Evans really disappoints in this one. He does, where's he at? 6 targets, 2 for 34 to go along with this. Cade Otton does score a touchdown pass on his 6 targets. And then probably don't care much. Chris Olave got knocked out with a concussion. Bub Means does score 8 targets. Like that's going to be a little interesting in your deeper leagues, depending on what goes on with Olave. Rashid Shaheed, 7 targets, but only like one of them got home. He did score on a punt return in this one to go along with this. And then there was some speculation that Kendra Miller was going to get activated. He didn't get activated. We still get 13 for 40 and a touchdown for Kamara to go along with 8 for 5 for 24 in this one. So again, not very efficient, but sometimes I don't really need to know how the sausage is made when it comes down to that, especially the prices I paid for Kamara at this point. I'm more concerned with like Kendra Miller potentially eating into him. Browns and Eagles, this game was closer than it probably should have been if you're worried about the Eagles at this point. So it was 10-10 at halftime, and then only 20-16 at the end of the game. And then to bring this up, you could definitely see that like Devontae Smith scores a 45-yard touchdown late or midway through the fourth quarter to put them up 20-13. And then I do believe that, let's see what they're going to say. It was 13-13 when that occurred. And the other thing, I got to look at my notes real quick, that where's he at? Jerome Ford went out with a hamstring. Nick Chubb right now is tracking to actually play next week. Pierre Strong, very efficient, 8 for 43 on the ground. Deontay Foreman, like 10 for 31. Wouldn't be surprised that like Pierre Strong is the guy next week when it comes to the Browns at this one. He also does like 3 for 2 for 35. Going to be somewhat fun speculating on a one-week rental when it comes to the Browns. Like, I don't necessarily think that you're going to get like full bell cow Nick Chubb. The Browns are bad 1-5. Who knows how much longer they're going to go with Deshaun Watson at this rate. 6 targets for Cooper, 7 targets for David Njoku. I don't really care. Barkley, again, like why we shouldn't probably jump the gun on certain guys when it comes to theoretically being league winner or whatever. Barkley 18 for 47, and that's to go along with 2 for 2 for 7 in the passing game. All right. So Jalen Hurts, no turnovers this one, 2 touchdown passes. That's to go along with 14 for 33 on the ground. And then AJ Brown, 9 for 6 for 116, a touchdown. Devontae Smith, again, like salvages his day with that 45-yard touchdown pass. Not much else to talk about. I think Dallas Goedert got knocked out in this one too. I wanted to go check what he had. I don't remember off the top of my head. Hamstring. So hamstrings are going out today. Lots of blowouts, lots of hamstrings getting blown out also. Commanders and Ravens, this one was not as close as the score would indicate. The Commanders were basically trailing by like 2 scores most of the game in this one. Jaden Daniels, 2 touchdown passes. They both go to Scary Terry. They were both red zone targets. I think it was a 7-yarder or a 6-yarder to go along with this. B-Rob was a scratch overall, and then Eckler kind of disappointed. Jeremy Nichols, if you rolled him out as a desperation play, he also disappointed. He did 2 for 9. Austin Eckler, 9 for 21 against the Ravens overall. Zach Ertz, 5 for 4 for 68, so probably still tracking to have that week overall. 8 targets for Noah Brown, didn't see that. 4 for 58 overall. Luke Musgrave, 1 for 1 for 5. And then over here for Baltimore, I'm going to probably talk about more about them on after waivers when it comes down to like maybe trying to track how many weeks. I'm not a big advocate of selling high or buying low or any of that stuff. Overpay, go get the guys that you want. Generally good offenses, or I shouldn't say good, generally good offenses. And you also want okay offenses with opportunity funnels, because that's the best way to get your 40-degree days with your spike weeks. All right. So like how many good days we're going to have left where the Ravens are going to be within 1 score where they're constantly putting pressure on the other team instead of just like jamming the football down your throat. That's why you're getting like your Mark Andrews 4 for 3 for 66. Zay Flowers like 9 for 9 for 132. Again, know what you got. Know how many more weeks you're going to feel like comfortable rolling out like your Zay Flowers if you're worried about that type of thing. Derrick Henry, 24 132, 2 touchdowns. Like when you're wrong, I guess, when it comes down to that stuff to go along with it. And like I said, the Commanders were, constantly trying to battle to be within 1 score of the game. They were playing from behind a lot in this one. All right, Chargers and Broncos. This game was not as close as the game would indicate either. 20-0 at halftime. Not a real football channel, but like Jim Harbaugh like had some like heart problems and had to leave the sidelines at a certain point in the game. It looks like he came back. He's going to be okay. So 20-0 at halftime for the Chargers. 23-0, and then the 16 points that came late. The Broncos did kick a field goal with like 50 seconds left, so they could do the onside to try and come back. That's what generally happened in the game. The Chargers were controlling this overall. Ladd McConkey did get knocked out and come back in with a concussion in this one. 8 targets for him. So again, like guys that I want. How many more games the Chargers are going to be in particular scripts probably doesn't matter. If I can guess that I'm going to get like 6 to 8 targets. I don't know if I can necessarily say that with Zay Flowers and how that offense is designed. Kamani Vidal does get some playing time in this one. He does score a touchdown pass, 2 for 2 for 40 in this game. And then he also did 4 for 11. J.K. Dobbins, and this would like somewhat non-predictive again. And Broncos do have a good defense. 25 of 96, 1 touchdown. And that goes along with like 3 other targets in this one to go along with it. Devon Vele, 6 targets, 4 for 78. And again, when he did this earlier in the year before the ribs, that was with very low air yards. So were these real targets is my question. Courtland Sutton, again, like opportunity funnels in okay offenses. 6 for 4 for 53 gets you your touchdown path. Troy Franklin pops up 3 for 2 for 31 and a touchdown. Overall, Lucas Kroll, 4 targets, 2. Yeah, now we can start talking about like stashing your Lucas Kroll going forward. Don't really care about the running game when it comes to the Broncos. Nobody did much of anything not named Bo Dix. Audric Estime was activated. He did 2 for 13, and I do not see him in the passing game. All right, Steelers and Raiders, and this was like ugly. So the Raiders did jump out to a 7-3 lead. Alexander Madison falls in the end zone. Zamir White was not active. We do get a Dylan Labe sighting, 1 carry, nothing, and then nothing in the passing game. Also saw like Jacoby Myers on top of Devontae Adams was a scratch. Trey Tucker, very disappointing, like 2 for 0 in this game. Brock Bowers, 10 for 9 for 71 as the unicorn to go along with that. I don't know how much I'd be trusting anybody in this offense, like Madison, 5 for 5 for 32 to go along with that, like a rushing touchdown. Looking at some of the other guys that are out there. Aiden O'Connell, 27 of 40, 227, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Labe fumbled on his one carry, so that's not particularly good. I wonder if he got any return work. Don't see that. So that's going to be interesting. I at first I thought this might have been like late because it was a blowout, and they might have given him like one opportunity, got punched out, and that was the end of his day. Amir Abdullah, 2 fumbles on top of that. Like the Raiders are a train wreck. Justin Fields, 14 of 24, 145. He also scores 2 more rushing touchdowns. So again, that's just the way the offense is going to score. Najee, 14 for 106 and a touchdown. That's to go along with 2 more targets. With Jalen Warren back, he does 3 targets and 6 for 7 in the rushing game, not very efficient. So yeah, like the Steelers defense is going to be like good enough. I don't know, outside of some of the guys like Pat Freiermuth, 3 for 2 for 16. Like Najee is just going to be this ugly RB2. Justin Fields, like I guess we could say like set and forget at this point. And like I want nothing to do with the Raiders not named Brock Bowers. Even when Devontae Adams comes back, I don't know if I would trust that overall. And if you're wondering, if you're wondering about that score, 32 to 13, Lions and Cowboys. So high implied point totals. Sometimes it's not a close game. 47 to 9, and this one would indicate that it was not as close as the score would indicate. This was bad. So you're looking at 27 to 6 at halftime, and then the Lions did like a hook and ladder to their offensive tackle, whatever. I'm not even trying to pronounce his name in this case. So like some of the other stuff that was going on, Jared Goff, that's going to bother me now. I can't say his name. Go find him. Penei Sewell. I don't know why I couldn't remember his name. Like one of the best offensive linemen in the league. So they jump out on this lead. David Montgomery, again, know what you got. Like there are going to be particular weeks that he may not give you a 40-degree day because if he doesn't fall in the end zone. The good news is he's going to have a lot of opportunities to fall in the end zone because he's attached to a really good offense. So he does sign a new 2-year extension that makes him like the 7th highest paid running back in the league at this point. Jameer Gibbs, 12 for 63. He doesn't fall in the end zone, but he does get 5 for 3 for 28. So he probably gave you a 40-degree day at that point. Tim Patrick, 3 for 3 for 68. Khalif Raymond, I don't even know if Khalif Raymond was like in during real football time, 6 for 4 for 73. Jamison Williams, like 4 for 3 for 76 and touchdown. Sam Laporta, 1 for 1 for 52 and touchdown. They don't care. And then the Sun God scores late because they're just having a good time, like blowing out the Cowboys. Rico Dowdle, 5 for 25 in this one. Like they were using Zeke in garbage time to run clock. I did see that as it pop up. 14 targets for CeeDee Lamb, 7 for 89. And then if you're chasing Jalen Tolbert, he does like 5 for 4 for 43. Jake Ferguson, this is disappointing, especially when we talk about like Trey McBride. I'll talk more about like the value of guys on Tuesday. Jake Ferguson, 4 for 3 for 11 to go along with this one. Dowdle, 6 for 5 for 30. So probably in your scamming leagues, he was able to give you a 40-degree day in that like RB2 spot. And if you're wondering for the Cowboys who scored, nobody scored. It was 3 field goals, I guess. Yeah, 3 field goals. Just ugly blowout. And then Falcons and Panthers. This one was all over the place. Falcons may be like one of those better offenses in football. At halftime, it was 22-17. And then you get the second half, 16 points for the Falcons, only 1 field goal for the Panthers. 10 points scored by the Falcons in the fourth quarter to ice it. In this one, I believe that was the Algier touchdown that iced it late. Yeah, Algier with 5:38 iced the game away. Kirk Cousins, 225 and a touchdown. Sometimes they don't care because, if they're going to get 33 combined carries between Bijan and Algier and 200 yards rushing, and they're doing about 6 yards a clip, and they score 3 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, they don't care. And then Drake London, again, we can talk about him. 10 targets, 6 for 74. He does a touchdown catch. He had 2 other red zone targets in this one. Darnell Mooney, 5 for 3 for 38. So maybe a slight downgrade. Kyle Pitts, 5 for 3 for 70. So again, they don't care about your fantasy lineup. When it comes to the Panthers, Jalen Colker pops up 3 for 3 for 30. Xavier Leggett, 4 for 3 for 23. He does get a touchdown. Deontay Johnson, 10 targets, 6 for 78, and a touchdown to go along with that. With Tommy Tremble being out in this one, 7 for 5 for 49 for Jatavion Sanders. That's a little interesting. And then Jonathan Mingo, 1 target. So we can kind of guess maybe we're going to get that usage flop Deontay Johnson, Xavier Leggett, and then Colker. Colker, we could talk about maybe he's in that wide receiver 3 range until who knows what's going to go on Thielen. I don't necessarily know if there's a point to bring back Thielen. They may be better off with Colker, and now we can start talking about if we're going to be that. It's just, is the offense going to be predictive at all? I don't know. Chuba Hubbard, 18 for 92 in this one, and that's to go along with another 6 targets, 5 for 11. Yeah, that's an RB1. And I don't know anything about Jonathan Brooks right now. I guess is tracking towards not any. He made some comments basically they're not. He may not even play this year. I'll just throw that out there as a hot take from what his comments are that Chuba's doing good. Their offenses are they're not winning anything. There's no point. So if you're wondering about that, unless we hear anything, and then Bengals and Giants on Sunday night, I talked a little bit about this. Joe Burrow 47-yard rushing touchdown. Chase Brown scores 1 late. Probably should have just gone down, but he doesn't. So he salvages your day if you rolled him out there. Combined touches. Zach Moss did fumble again in this one. Chase Brown did fumble also, if you're wondering. T. Higgins, 7 for 7 for 77. Jamar Chase, 6 for 5 for 72 in this one. Eric All, 3 for 2. Chase, 3 for 2 for 11. Zach Moss, 1 for 1 for 2. And that's kind of not very good in the rushing game. Again, 30 of Chase Brown's 53 came on 1 carry, and that he popped it in. Over on the Giants side, so a little bit more interesting. Darius Slayton does 11 targets, 6 for 57, with Neighbors being out a second game. Wandell, 11 targets, 5 for 50. I guess some of those weren't check down monster targets if they were incomplete short. Theo Johnson, 3 for 3 for 30. This Tyrone Tracy, 5 for 57 on 6 targets, and that's to go along with 17 for 50 and a rushing touchdown. I'm going to guess that Devin Singletary is going to be back. I don't know how much consistency we can guess. If he can get that 6 targets a game, 5 or even 4 targets a game, he's going to be an RB2. If he's getting this type of work, that gets really interesting. I just don't know how consistent any of that's going to be. So anyway, that's about it for the sausage. And if I didn't say that, the Bengals beat the Giants 17-7. 2 missed field goals for the Giants kicker. They actually tried to do one of those kick field goal with 50 seconds left, and they missed, and that was your game. The Bengals did not look good in this game with the Giants. Defense does look better, but who knows when it comes down to all that stuff. So anyway, that's about what I got for the sausage. You're looking at Sean Tucker being the week's MVP. I don't know how many people rolled him out, and hopefully I will get the Chasing the Dragon done tomorrow night, and I'm not tracking on anything coming up right now, so hopefully after waivers is going to be out on time on Tuesday night.